Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Mishal Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Erin Bowers, the founder and principal of Blueprint to Bluechip, joining us with over 20 years of experience in corporate leadership, finance, and operations. She is leading a revolution at Blueprint to Bluechip and really transforming how small to mid-sized businesses and beyond achieve sustainable growth through financial strategy, operational efficiency, and strategic planning. We're going to explore her founding story, how Blueprint to Bluechip is helping SMEs transition to that blue chip status, and her vision for scaling this founder-led consultancy. So going to pass the mic over to you, Erin. Let's dive in. Welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much. I could not be more excited to be here. And what a journey it has been. It's amazing the ups and downs you go through and what you're guided to do. So, what I would say at the heart of the journey that I've been on is how to truly be in service. What are the gifts that I have been gifted to bring to the workplace, into the world, and how to use those to truly transform. And really, Blueprint to Bluechip is on the cutting edge of how to use the universal laws, the spiritual principles, and incorporate those into high strategy growth. Because what I found through my own journey, working with founders and leaders, is ultimately when you start from a place of abundance through a place of vision and where you want to be going, you actually fulfill that. And oftentimes people will be doing the right tactics, but with the wrong purpose and the wrong energy behind it. And so it's uncovering and unlayering that to really figure out who you are as a leader, founder, principal, whomever it might be that I'm working with. Who are you? How do you want to be servicing the world? And how can we help you step into that? And then how does your business principles align behind that so the work feels effortless and natural? So it's a little bit different than probably what most people experience, because I think most people want, just tell me what to do and I'm going to go do it. But essentially, if you don't embody it, you don't believe it, it doesn't really come from you. A lot of times what I find is it doesn't work for most organizations because the energy and the essence of who they are isn't infused into it.
Love that. So I want to really go back to the beginning, and you gave us a really good overview really of the essence and the core of Blueprint to Bluechip. So what was that specific aha moment that you realized there's a need to solve this in the business consulting space? What inspired you to start Blueprint to Bluechip to start with? What was that problem, that gap that you were seeing where it was I need to step in?
I think it goes back to way back into my days in corporate America, because I could never figure out, you'd be riding this roller coaster in the organization and it was it shouldn't feel like this. Why do people feel disconnected? Why do people feel disengaged? And why are they not on purpose? And really getting the inspiration of how do you create workspaces and workplaces where people are activated into their best. That's what organizations need, is all of their human capital, which is their greatest capital, truly being able to express themselves and bring all their talents and gifts to the workspace. Because a lot of times, a lot of that gets kiboshed down and it's just follow the system, do what we say, toe the line, here's all your rules and policies. And it's there's all this incredible talent that wants to contribute to the organization and think innovatively about how the work can be done and how they can service the consumer better. Because all the industries I work in, there's always a customer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be for profit. The employees want to take care of those customers, but a lot of times the corporation or the organization is the one kind of stifling that connection. And I want to bring back relationship. I think people are craving that. I think also reestablishing trust.
Mm.
People want to know who they're buying from. And I think that we're in a trust recession, really trying to reestablish what's true, what's not true. Are you looking out for my best interest? If this isn't for me, referring them on to maybe another organization that does that even
Mm.
better than what you do. So that's what really started my journey into this space, was solving that problem of how do we unlock the potential of the leaders, but then of every human being working within that organization, because that's where the magic truly happens. Hence
Mm.
blueprint, the blueprint of every human, who they are, what they're doing, to blue chip.
Love that. Yeah, so it's not just like those leaders, but like everyone in the organization, right? You're making sure that, hey, there's no gaps left here. We're going to cover all the domains, all the personnel involved in this transformation and getting them involved in that per se. Now, I want to get into the nuts and bolts for our listeners and even potential clients that are tuning in and they would love to learn a little bit more about some of the service offerings. Walk us through how Blueprint to Blue Chip generates revenue today. What are some of those core offerings and services that you offer? And how do you structure what you do for your clients in terms of like those deliverables?
Awesome. So, what I love to start out with is the leader at the top and doing kind of an intensive reset with them. So, that's a core offering. And then the offering structure down from there, if they wanted to now incorporate maybe the C suite, maybe the next level leaders behind it. And if you want a complete organizational overhaul, that would be your highest tier of, okay, what does that work truly look like
Mm.
to really change the culture of your organization? What do you want your organization to stand for? What do you want that to look and feel like? And then how do you align everybody back into that? So it starts with the leader at the top and then it's tiered down based on how deep and how wide they want to go, so that they can, I think, really see the transformation. And all my services are really high touch, one-on-one. I've operated in the coaching space now for, gosh, 6+ years,
Mm.
maybe longer. I've probably lost track. And what I found is it's not about just here's an online course and read this and do this. I truly want to deliver a transformation to somebody and not just information. So
Mm.
I want them to have an experience, have an accountability coach that's leading them along the way and helping them self-discover what truly works for them. There is the one thing I will say that I've learned is there is no one size fits all. So
Mm.
what's even worked for me doesn't necessarily work for anybody else.
Mm.
So really understanding who these individuals are, what are their energetic blocks, subconscious blocks, things that are getting in the way that they don't even know are in the way, getting down to that true root cause of what's holding you back from maybe stepping into doing X, Y, or Z. I really want to unpack that so that people can step through that and
Mm.
have the transformation that they're looking for versus, okay, there's all this information I just got.
Mm.
Now, what do I do with it?
Right.
Which I
Yeah.
think we get a lot in some of the coaching programs that are out there. And I'm not slighting any of those. I
Mm.
just decided I want to take a very high touch, high service approach. And maybe I work with less people,
Mm.
but I deliver a different a different quality of work because they're not just one of 500, 600 that are coming through the program that are getting group coaching or whatever. Like I want to truly deliver high touch and really solve what their problems are.
Yeah, absolutely. So very bespoke, very customized from what it sounds like in terms of the tiered offerings. Just want to clarify, and it's more for the listeners who haven't really done their research on who you are and what you do. So the first one is basically that intensive reset with leaders. And then if they want to opt into having their C-suite involved in that transformation, that's the second tier of that high touch coaching. And then the third is okay, transforming the culture of that entire workplace. Would love to learn more about where you're seeing the most traction. Where are you seeing more of some of the businesses that you work with opt in? Is it more on that first tier, which is like that intensive reset, the leadership side, or more of them involved in, hey, we want to just change the culture here. We want to look at this from a more of a holistic lens and get everyone involved?
Most of the time, what I see is it starts with the leader and it quickly builds. So it's like they'll even be like, okay, now I want to enroll my seat. And now I want to, like, so it becomes that concept of a ladder where it's okay, I solved the problem with you. And now they're starting to see, oh, okay, I can see this in my leaders. And the nice thing is, I think with that approach, it is I'm building trust. So
Mm,
they're working with me. So rather than coming in and going, okay, I want you to transform my culture, which is amazing, there's a lot of trust that needs to be built in working with me in order for that to be facilitated. And so it becomes this progression
mm,
versus, hey, you could call me and hire me, but we're going to have to do a lot of groundwork to before we can deliver that to the
mm.
organization, but it can be done. But what I found is people like to start small and grow
Yeah.
because there's the trust that's being built all along the way.
Absolutely. And it makes the most sense in that sense as well. It's, if you can like really create that impact first on the leadership side, a lot of those like values and like those that's transformative moments, like that mindset shift, it becomes a lot more easier to implement, I would assume, than later on as you go into some of the tier two, tier three transformations. No, I think that's phenomenal. Now, many of our guests who have run very customized offers like this, like very high touch, very high implementation, they've often found it's very tough to scale without burning out or even sacrificing the quality. I'm curious like how you have thought about scaling your offer while still keeping it effective and manageable given that everything seems to be customized here.
That's such a good question. And really, my answer to that is finding like minded individuals like myself that I can bring along is part of the training so that they start to experience what this looks like. What am I delivering? So that I'm really adding more of a employee base of
Mm,
other content deliverers like myself that can go in and do the work just like I would. So that's really my plan for scaling at the present moment is I need to multiply myself or duplicate myself.
yeah.
So I don't lose the touch or the delivery that I'm looking for, but who else is in the space that's being called to do this work that can do as good, if not better job than me in that delivery. So my scaling really comes down to who I have employed with me around more of the content, as well as I think building out my marketing team
Mm,
to continuously bring in leads and then figuring out how to manage and scale
mm,
what work can I do, what do I need to pass off, and
mm.
what does that look like? Or how do I hybrid it where I have other people involved? And then what are my touch points within the delivery of the program that still makes it high quality?
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And you're very intentful about that. I love the fact that you're realizing some of these things already. How has that process been though for you? Because I know some of our listeners tuning in, they're often going through their own like struggles and challenges with really finding good talent out there, people who are like-minded, they're mission-oriented, they align and they're like you, they're like another clone of you. So tell us a little bit about how that process has been going so far. What have you seen so far in that realization?
I will say it's slow, but I think that's okay. My mom once told me this, and it's so true. And even some of the consulting work I do, she made a comment of haste or hurry is of the devil. And so I think trusting that, who I'm supposed to align with, and I think spending a lot of quality time with them before I'm making any type of hasty decision around. I watch people do that. Like, I got to solve this problem. And it's really, if you slow down a little bit, you might actually attract a better person. You'd have greater retention. And so I'm just really methodical about
Mm,
my approach of who am I connecting with, spending a lot of time building that relationship before it's, I think in my past and even in my younger years when corporate America's like, you seem great, let's hire you. And then you're like 2 months later, you're like, I'm rehiring that same position. So yes, trusting that gut instinct and that feeling, but I think spending a lot of quality time really vetting that, who they are, if they're a coach, like how do they deliver content? Are we like-minded? So I have a pretty lengthy process that I spend time with people just because you have to make it, I think, a really good fit because they're a reflection of you almost want them to be a co-creator or a partner in it versus you're an employee and this isn't
Yeah,
mine. So
yeah,
I want to find like people that want to almost build the brand with me so
yeah.
that they feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really tough sometimes as well as like early founders where finding individuals who are not just there for that paycheck, but they're there as well and they're vested in the growth of the company and the organization and even growing it someone below them as well. Finding genuine individuals like that. But no, I appreciate you sharing that honestly, because I know some of our listeners tuning in, they're probably also thinking, yeah, I'm going through that same challenge right now, that same struggles. No, I think this creates that relatedness, and that's why we do what we do here. So, really building on your growth, how are you acquiring some of your clients today? What's been working well with the outreach side of things? Like whether it's LinkedIn, referrals, doing some ads, like how are you generating leads right now for consulting services?
So my focus has been really on organic currently because again, I want to build that trust. And I think I was reading somewhere that people want 7+ hours of quality content or relationship with you to establish that foundation. So I do a lot of my stuff through LinkedIn. I actually do a 5 day like intensive with individuals for free so that
Wow.
they can come in, they can experience me, they can spend 5 days that work for them. It's in their schedule. It's not, hey, show up, I'm delivering this content over the course of 5 days. It's customized to their schedule, what works for them. They get to experience me
Mm,
and our work together. And I really want to deliver or solve one small problem for them over the course of that 5 days. And then that's it naturally just flows into sales because now they've spent 5 hours and they're more invested in showing up because it's customized one-on-one to them over the course of 5 days. I have a general outline in my mind. If somebody wants to work on something very specific to them, that we're going to do that.
yeah.
And my ask in return, so they have some skin in the game, is to donate to one of my favorite nonprofits. So it's not where it doesn't feel free, but it really is. And that's how I'm attracting my clients right now. And it seems to be working seamlessly. So I get to blend that with my other coaching and invite that in. And
Mm,
oftentimes, if it's not for them, they have referrals that they can give me as part of that process and or they're enrolling themselves, which
mm.
is great.
Love that. So it seems like there's a lot of that like snowball effect happening where you've created this product-led growth system where you're letting a lot of the use cases, you're giving already a lot of that value up front to get that buy-in, get that trust, get people sold into, hey, this is legitimate. This is someone I want to work with. And then they see the more of that bespoke customization happen. So I think that's so innovative, especially because a lot of times, a lot of coaches and consultants are very hesitant about giving a lot of that upfront right away, but you don't hesitate to do that. So that's actually wonderful. Now, with the acquisition side of things, ads being another platform with generating leads, have you looked into exploring ads as well? You're doing a lot with organic. How are you looking at ads? And like, what are some of your thoughts as well on that as you navigate through some of the different ways you can diversify acquisition? If you can share with the audience some thoughts on it.
Absolutely. I think staying ahead of what's coming, what's out there. And I would agree, like it's not just a one size fits all. Like I can go do this. It's as you think of scaling, it's like absolutely like ads are definitely things that I am working on. LinkedIn ads. I think that's newer to their platform. So I think that's really important to knowing that most of my consumers are in LinkedIn, but also looking at what does that look like on Facebook, on Instagram,
Mm,
really to just stay current. And what's the most cutting edge ads out there? Video seems to be where people are going versus a static or still
mm,
image, and getting them into events and other things that not just, hey, get on a call, we're going to try to sell you, which I think I've had that done with me. I've clicked on, I've clicked through, which I don't know how much of that is working today versus getting them into other events that
mm,
start to build that trust. So some of the ads I'm working on now are getting them into micro events or inviting them even for the 5 days so that they can really experience and build that versus just advertising the end platforms that I have built and offer. So trying to, again, I think it's a slower build
mm.
because people want to know who they're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. Creating that the education, top of funnel education, and more of that awareness before you can even propose or position the platform or some of the solutions out there, right?
Yeah.
And starting slow and steady, like you said. So love the approach that you've really taken, and it's a completely in alignment with like really the way in which you need to be marketing as a consultancy, right? Is how do you generate personal brand awareness first, create trust through your thought leadership and through your source content before you can even provide them with the end product and seeing if it's a fit. Now, on that note, I want to learn about your approach to sales. Like, what strategies have been the most effective in converting some of those leads that maybe come in through the ads, where they see some of the content on LinkedIn, or their referral into actual long-term clients? Are you doing this on your own? Are you the only one having some of those conversations, or do you have a team in place as well involved in the process?
I'm the one doing it right now just because I think it's a muscle for me to really build. And again, goes back to I need everybody working underneath me as part of this organization has to have kind of that same buy-in
Mm,
to the mission, vision, values of what we're doing as if it's their own.
yeah,
And so I take that approach with everything, whether that's the sales team, whether that's other coaches. I think that's so important because I think if it's just, you can feel it when you're the consumer, when you're being sold to,
yeah.
versus I'm a part of this, I'm bought into this, I believe in this,
Mm,
and truly understanding what's the problem that we're solving and
mm,
how can we help them. And
mm,
so that's really important for me. Of I think when you're truly in your mission, serving your purpose, in your dharma, for those that use those terms,
mm,
it just becomes natural because it's this is what I do, and who it resonates with is it's going to click with, and for those it doesn't. And so I need the same thing with everybody that's on the team is you have to this has to be as much of your mission as it is mine, and I know there's other people out there aligned with the similar purpose.
mm,
So I'm focused on attracting those in because I think, and that's when the flow really happens, and they're not just selling a program or feeling like they're the salesperson. That becomes very natural, and that's really important to me versus I think, some of the sales tactics that we see sometimes, and it just doesn't resonate with people, and it's like you want to deliver a transformation. And so
mm.
how do we really connect with them to deliver that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's what it is like value propositions, consultative approaches when it comes to really like that positioning with your prospects and not just focusing on, hey, how can we just make a deal or get to that end transaction? I love the fact that you're really focused on setting the right foundation in place with yourself. You're, like you said, you're doing it on your own, you're building that muscle first, and you're looking for people who can get that same buy-in. Now, from what it sounds like, the growth has been incredible. If you can maybe share with us, and more for the listeners and entrepreneurs that are still finding their footing in their founding story, any challenges, any bottlenecks that stand out, what would it be? Is it even attracting like the right partnerships to begin with in terms of leads, improving some of the conversions on the sales side, finding like-minded individuals like yourself to help in that process? What are you most focused on solving in the coming months to keep all of this momentum going?
What I'm focused on solving is exactly, I think, is that attraction piece of like-minded people to then become a part of this organization to help it grow and expand, because that's where the growth is really going to happen. But I know the key is the quality of the human being that comes in and is a part of that. And so I think just being very methodical around that. And then as you bring those in, then what are the systems and processes to build out to continue to support that expansive growth? But I think it comes first of you've got to attract the right people, because if you have the systems and nobody to service that, you're going to run into, I think, bigger problems. And so trying to attract in first, who should I be working with? And then I think from there going, okay, now how do we really build this out where it becomes a engine
Mm,
is really my focus right now. With where I'm positioned and what I charge, I can do a lot and be really successful on
mm.
my own. But if I really want to scale and deliver the impact I want to have in the world, I think the talent acquisition into my organization is my number one priority, and then you can unlock and turn on more ads and more of those things because I have the right people to take care of them.
Yeah, 100%. That's just the right way to approach it, right? Because you want to create sustainability, right? And
Mhm.
having processes, having systems in place are going to allow you to really unlock that next phase of growth, right? And the acquisition piece, like on the personnel side, being one of the best things to do, right? Oftentimes, a lot of individuals like to focus on those front pieces, but then also not the fulfillment as well, which is like the latter side of that conversation is how do we ensure there is client success, client retention as well? We're not just building an engine where we're getting a lot of leads come in, but we're not able to sustain that hyper growth as well. One piece at a time from what it sounds like. It's super exciting. You already have conceptualized this in your mind, so I love that. Now, I'd love to hear about the vision for the future when it looks what looks like in terms of goals. What's like the top of mind right now for growing Blueprint to Bluechip over the next 6 to 12 months? What does that runway look like for you?
So that runway, I think, is incredible. And I think, because I think a lot of organizations, I think where we sit currently, I don't like to talk about the economy because I think we create our own reality. But I think people aren't really looking at the transformation that they need to have to unlock the growth that they want to have. I think they're doing the same things that they used to do. And so I think it's really, how do you help people see there is a whole new way to be looking at your business, and what are the, like you said, the foundational roots that most people aren't even looking at, which is the energetics of where people are at. I talk to people all the time. It's okay if you start from a place of lack, if you're starting from a place of desperation,
Mm,
all the universe can do at some point in time is going to deliver you back that lack, that
mm,
desperation. So, like, how do
mm,
we clear up your starting point and get your vision so big that it's
mm,
like that all you can do is attract in that
mm,
magnificent abundance that exists out there, because
mm,
it does. Helping people understand that, but also getting clear on how are you serving. We've made our world very transactional, and we, at the core of who we are relational. And that was that trust recession I was talking about. So getting people to understand that this is a relational business. What problem are you solving? Are you truly in service of
yeah.
other people? Because your profits will explode when you're truly just serving and solving people's problems and helping them,
Mm,
like, with whatever they're doing. So my, like, runway is, how do I get my message out there? How do I get in front of people to look at their business differently than traditional? I think of all the things I learned and did in corporate America and add a little bit different spin to
mm,
add to the secret sauce of how do you get those actions and activities to really unlock your results. And
mm,
so I think it's finding people that are innovative It's
Mhm.
finding people that are tired of being stuck and can't figure out, we've tried this, we've done this, like, why isn't this working? And helping them have that transformation so that they can unlock that performance as well as reset. What did you really build this business for? Over time, you start to lose your way. Let's bring it back to what did you really want to create? What was your point of inception, and how do we bring that back and
Mhm.
infuse that through your organization? Because that's what you want to anchor in is really your why. And my long term is I have some pretty big revenue goals for the next 12 months with minimal client count, just like I said, just based on the price point that I charge. But really the focus is building people so that we can scale and go out and help more and more and more organizations have this transformation so that they can have sustainable results over the course of a lifetime and build generational wealth and have a legacy that they're
Yeah.
proud of.
I absolutely love that. What you're doing is so uniquely disruptive in really what it is, transforming organizations and not just like the organizations from the top, the leaders where that impact happens. So I'm really excited about what this year looks like for you as you find the right fits within your team. You really have that alignment internally to make that difference externally as you start to scale. Really great stuff here. I like to ask every guest and get a bit of hypothetical because I love your passion for empowering SMEs. What's your thought process? If you had a genie in the room, you rub the lamp, and poof, he appears, and all of a sudden there's these unlimited resources that are at your disposal. What would you implement immediately to accelerate Blueprint to Bluechip's growth today?
Immediately, wow, genie in the bottle. I'd have obviously unlimited access to cash. So I would really unlock probably hiring in that attraction and paying top tier to get the best talent would be one of the things. And then I think going out and really investing in getting the message out in a genuine way that I think speaks to the pain points that people are having so that they can unlock the transformation that they want to have in their business and really address that. If I had unlimited resources, it would be investing in my human capital and really be willing to pay, like I said, top dollar where people feel valued and seen and giving them investment in the organization. And then, yeah, just unlock, I think, unlimited resources to just get the message out there through ad spend, all the things cost that cost money that would be like, yeah, I don't even have to think about it. Here you go.
Oof, I love that. That's one of my favorite questions because it really gets everyone thinking more about how do I really navigate the business now that the hard part is the cash, the funding, the resources to get to what you want, get to the next step. But I've never interviewed anyone who's been conscious of what that looks like in the best ways. I see you being like an eight-figure producer in a couple of years, and we've interviewed so many guests. So I'm so excited. It's almost like I have this crystal ball. I'm reading your fortune, and I'm like, wow, she's gonna make it.
I received that. Thank you, universe. That's the goal. Like, we
Yeah,
really to use that to serve, continue to build and continue to serve and to get into huge organizations. Like big, hairy goals would be to work with Fortune 500 companies that want a massive overhaul.
yeah,
That's different than what you'd get if you called like a Boston Consulting Group or something like that, where this is truly a transformational experience for the human beings within the organization. So
yeah.
that's
Uh,
where I'm headed.
I'm excited to see really like where the future unfolds for you. One last question, because we're in the lightning round. For the listeners, entrepreneurs, and founders looking to follow in your footsteps, what's the best piece of advice you would give to them? Because you've scaled a consulting business, you're looking to scale even further. And perhaps this is from like your years in corporate finance, operations. What would you say on one parting note?
I would say tap into why God, source, the universe, divine, whatever that is, puts you here. Find what you are here because each one of us has a unique gift to serve the world and to find that voice and
Mhm.
to bring that out and to know that you are already ordained with those skills, with those like powers, talents, magic to give to the world. And so I think when I finally stepped into this is who I am, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I should be unapologetic about it, that's when things really started to take off for me because I wasn't second guessing or I wasn't feeling, do I have enough skills? Do I have enough knowledge? You've been gifted all the tools and resources, and you're going to continuously be gifted the tools and resources that you need. And
Yeah.
so just taking full ownership of that, because that's where I see most people lack or have imposter syndrome. And once that clicks in, you watch out world.
Ooh, love it. Yes. Don't be shy to conquer the day and listen to that inner voice. A lot of people don't. And then they end up not doing what they want to do. And then it's like a what if moment 20 years later. Wow.
Yep. We
You,
didn't come here for regrets. Do
yeah,
it. Do
just
it.
you
The
guys.
universe is supporting you. Like it's
Yeah,
wanting you to do it. So you got to step into that. And I think that's the hard for people to get into that. And
for
so that's my advice is just listen and step in. And when it feels more uncomfortable, step in again. And when it
yeah.
feels uncomfortable, keep leaning in. That concept of leaning in, trust,
Mm,
continuously doing that. Don't
absolutely.
doubt.
Don't be in doubt. You guys heard it first from Erin. Wow, what an amazing way to end today's episode. On that note, that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Erin, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today and your insights. Really, I'm so excited for the way you're going to help so many consultancies really grow their culture, but also that change and that transformation being from the top first. Super excited for the runway going into 2025, and you have all the pieces, you're thinking about all the right things, and you're finding all the pieces in place. Really happy about that. To our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find some more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class sales systems. And if you would like to get in touch with Erin, you can follow her on LinkedIn. We'll link her profile in the summary below, and feel free to give her a shout, and she would have a nice conversation and find out more about if it's a good fit. So until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we will see you all in the next one.